it was beneath her to clean. So she had to find men that would actually do the cleaning for her. But that's the mindset. It's she's kind of on the extreme side, but that's the mindset.
Okay. Okay. Hey, I have one more comment about this passport thing.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what? The issue isn't asking about it, but it's making a judgment on the person.
Yes.
When they don't have it.
Yeah.
Because they might not have it because they didn't have exposure to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when a lot of the women asked me that.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I did have one. I got to renew it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the assumption
that if you don't have one, the assumption you're not well traveled.
You're not well traveled, or you're not even interested in it.
Yes.
But you might say, okay, yeah, that sounds like fun, but just
Yeah. They want women want a man that's experiencing what they whatever it is.
Yes.
Most women, I say, especially black women, don't want to teach. They don't want to show. They basically want they want the man that they want that man to already have it when they come along, which is silly, but it is what it is.
That's an excellent point. And the when I was talking before you came on, the ex who I went to go see that counselor with, I sensed that there were things that either I didn't have or didn't know that she expected me to already have.
Yeah, or I already know.
She was frustrated that that I didn't know or that I didn't have them, and I just. That was all new to me. I felt like, we meet where we meet. We're growing together.
Yeah.
And, we'll grow and evolve together. But nope, you lose points for not knowing this. You lose points for not knowing that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So, okay. Last question, and then we can start, have some other folks come in. So, and Master Teacher, you might not have the answer for this. I think you and Nicole have kind of talked about this maybe from a different angle, but for a man and a woman today, what's realistic? I mean, do you I hear guys talking about not doing state sanctioned marriages. I hear about a bunch of guys talking about not getting married. Some folks are doing surrogate pregnancies. Like from your vantage point, like what? What's realistic today?
Eventually, the thing is, you don't know because it changes so quickly.
Yes.
Because there's the needs of the individual, the needs of society, and the needs of the state. Okay. Yeah. And the environment that's set up by the state goes by what the state or the whole country needs, or the whole, basically, as a broader society, what they need, and that doesn't always mesh with what you need. Okay. As far as finding a partner, and the reasons that marriages are in the toilet is because the marriages don't work because there's no stability. Nobody's willing to invest a whole lot of time, money, effort, and emotional currency into something that somebody can actually walk out on at a drop of a hat. Like, okay, I'm done with this marriage. No, doesn't have to have a real reason. Nothing has to happen. Is I don't want to be married anymore, and just walk out. And you might have mortgages, bills, debts, kids, all kind of stuff, and that person that you depended on actually make a life is just say, you know what, I'm not feeling this, and I'm just gonna bounce and blow all that up, and that's what happened. You, like you said, you have a lot of family that got divorced. If you talk to the guys, that's what they'll tell you. Hey, I thought I was went all in on this, hoping or believing that this was going to be solid, and I got kind of blindsided when it wasn't. And I've invested all this time, money, and effort in for what? And that's the issue. That's how come marriage is going downhill. But the thing is, they kind of suspected that when they actually gave women more rights to walk out of a marriage. In 1970, the divorce rate actually tripled, and the only reason the divorce rate is down is because the marriage rate is down.
Okay, wow.
So they literally, basically, really what they really did was change the environment so that marriages were unnecessary.
Okay.
And the only reason we hold on to them is because of tradition. And at some point, they're going to have to reform relationships or reform how men and women engage to actually fit whatever environment they're putting out, or change the environment back. And they haven't quite decided what they're going to do, which is probably frustrating.
But this is system wide. This is not. This is for.
This is going global. This is going global, Chief. I do mean global. That's how come I put out the videos about the out of wedlock rate around the world, not just here. When we talk about some societies that actually nearly patriarchal, like Latin America is a very strong patriarchal culture.
Right.
How come the out of wedlock rate is so high in Latin America? It's not nearly as liberal as this one is.
Okay.
So this is systemic.
Okay. I have a buddy over in Africa right now, and one of his, well, he went over there to start a business, number one, but I think he was fleeing the dating scene here as well. And he keeps telling me, man, you need to come over to Africa, man. You need to come over here, be treated like a king. You know, but what I'm hearing is, like, as you said, it's spreading all around the globe.
It's spreading, but the thing is that where we are right here in America is an advanced stage. So it's like cancer. It's an advanced stage. So where they are, they don't have the infrastructure yet to actually be that. Even though they see traits of it here and there, but they don't have the infrastructure to actually be that kind of as a whole, that kind of society. So that you might not see that society for another. Even though it's advanced, it's actually speeded up for another, I say 40 years or so to get where we are, maybe even 50 to get where we are. Where we are is already advanced, and Europe is even further along than we are, as far as trying to reform how mating and dating, even marriage, are actually performed. So it's going to be interesting. Okay, like I said, France's out of wedlock birth rate is like over 60%, and they're not black.
Okay. Now you also so that's France, but you also pointed out that isn't this growing in, was it Korea as well?
Korea is actually there's certain highly patriarchal countries that are actually have a low out of wedlock birth rate. Korea, Japan, Singapore, and believe it or not, Greece. But they're extremely patriarchal, and they basically refuse to actually sanction out of wedlock birth. Single mothers are actually like pariahs in those countries.
Okay.
And they don't get the support that other high out of wedlock countries actually get. But the thing is, what they suffer from is a decline in population because they're not having babies. They have the lowest fertility rates on the planet. And so they have a population decline by not doing that. So there's a price to pay for a low, in this environment, a low out of wedlock birth rate.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna make a quick announcement, and I'm gonna ask you one more. I'm gonna start to bring people up. I've heard and David backstage. If anyone wants to support the channel, I'm going to leave my Cash App in the chat right now. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. And if you haven't subbed to this channel, please sub. I think when I started this stream, I was at 450. So please put me above 500.
If you haven't subbed, please sub. Okay, I support what I call lovingly call my eggheads. Okay, these are experts in their fields, and they're rare. I call them our jewels, and they need to be supported. So even if you can't hit a Cash App, hit a like, and subscribe. It doesn't hurt you to subscribe. And this is some of this. Most of the stuff is probably going to make it into the book. And in fact, I got to email you a PDF of my outline.
Okay,
a book.
I'd be honored. In terms of, you talked about assimilation of our people into the greater society.
Yeah.
Is this no fault divorce, all this stuff, feminism, is it impacting different groups differently? So is our people being affected differently than, or is this across the board for everyone?
It's like anything. Like say if you have a say if you're just it's like you're in the medical field, right? So people that are weaker to certain diseases or stimulations, basically they get affected first, right? So say like COVID-19, the people that are have the weakest immune system probably will die first, right? Same thing culturally, right? Black people are culturally weak because not anything that they've done, they've been mistreated and broken by this system, by the society, so they're culturally weak. So anything that will happen negatively to this society will actually show up in Black people first, because they're the canaries. They're the most susceptible to it. So naturally you see it in us first. But the thing is, if you keep looking, say like they had a wedlock birth rate for white women in 1960 when they measured it was 2%, right? Now it's over 30. It's like 35%. So basically, it's gone over tenfold in the last 60 years, which is well actually a greater rate than ours. You look at the Latinos, Latinas, they're out of in this country, out of wedlock birth rate was like below 10, right? Believe it or not, the Latina out of wedlock birth rate is almost 60%. We focus on Black people, but there's only a 10% difference between them and us.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll see anything you because we're because of the mistreatment that we get in the society still to this day, you'll see it in us first. Declining marriage rates, high divorce rates, believe it or not. Black women are not only the least married, but also the most divorced. They file more divorces than any other group. Okay, so how do we account for that? It's really simple. Is that Dr. Johnson calls it insert man here, right? Okay. You are I wouldn't say evil, but you are a necessary function, right? Not necessarily a wanted function, but a necessary function. Black women have always wanted their independence from you.
Pretty much.
And this is historic. Actually, I actually use Fraser's book to actually highlight that fact that every now and then I pull it out and actually say where the independence of Black women. This is coming out of actually talk about this not only in slavery but coming out of slavery. Same thing. They always wanted their independence, and it's always shown up. And basically, white women and white women have always supported Black women's independence from their men. So this is nothing new. The thing is it didn't really show up until Black women got the access to the financial freedom for their men. They have always been a necessary component. Okay, not necessarily they necessarily wanted to be under a man, but it was necessary for their survival and the survival of their children. So Black women have never wanted to be under a man. So I haven't heard you say anything about love and romance and marriage. Well, love and romance. Okay, love and romance about as far as marriage is concerned is only like 150 years old. Okay. Marriage has always been a necessity of how you organize people. Even in the Bible, they will tell you're supposed to grow to love your spouse. You get married for love. How about that? So we put a lot on marriage. Marriage is a cultural instrument for survival, just like any other cultural instrument. That's why it's an institution, and it has to be ingrained into you from very small, so that you will think that it is a natural function. It's something that's ordained from God and all that kind of stuff, basically. But it's not. Okay, it's always been a necessary function of how you organize it, because before last 200-300 years, marriage was you were actually assigned a wife. Okay, you weren't. It wasn't. You fell in love. You always had to get permission of the village to get married. You were assigned a wife that was suitable for you. Even in most cultures, in fact, they complain that marriage is too liberal here in the West. Okay, young people should not be picking their own mates because 9 times out of 10, young people can't pick their own mates. They don't have enough wisdom. So that's why they always dependent on the elders to actually, see if a husband or a wife was suitable for the other. So we've kind of thrown it up and say, okay, in a free for all. And it kind of worked a little bit because some of the old values actually went along with it. But now those old values have been lost. So now it's like a free for all. That's why marriage is actually declining. It's like a hit or miss. There is no form or function into how you get married or who or what kind of wife you should pick. Okay, now it's there, because we're basically wives are not trained for the role anyway. And for the other part, neither are men really trained for a husband's role. Okay.
Mhm.
It's a little bit easier for a man because being a man is the way we work is pretty much the same. So being a husband is not that far off from where we are now. But for a woman, if a woman's not trained to be a wife, man, shit. What can I tell you? That's how Latinas do so well. Latinas know the value of training their daughters to be wives. And so even if they don't get married, they still have the training.
Okay. Hey, I gave wrenches to Nameless and Kendra. BGS, so do men have to be trained to be husbands? David and Herbert, if you want to say something, go ahead.